we have our last presenter, last but definitely not least, the director for all the regional extension campuses? Regional campuses. Dr. Sherrice Lyons. Now, we all know Dr. Lyons. She has been involved in our school lives. She always tries to make sure that not only our academics are enriched, but our personal development also. And that is one of the main reasons why she signed up on a seminar like this, which we thank her for. It was good, right? It has been good. And I'm sure that she will continue in the future. All right, so please give a warm, a very, very warm welcome to Dr. Sherrice Lyons.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell, for those warm words of introduction and affirmation as well. I want to congratulate the BASSO Club, the entire team, for this excellent seminar. I think it's a wonderful job that you're doing, and I believe that it will be very well received by the students. So this afternoon I have just half an hour to present to you on the topic of general management. Let me see the hands of those who are in general management. Or management studies. Management studies? HR? No management studies. That's quite, oh, one, lovely. Two, okay, all right, lovely. So we're going to go through a brief presentation. I don't believe it's very necessary for me to tell you what management studies is all about, because that's what you're studying anyway. But we're going to delve a little bit into that so that you know, outside of the theoretical aspects, what the practical aspects of management involves. And then we're going to go into the matter of the exit interviews, or the language and content interviews, what to expect, how to prepare for it, what to do when you get there, to ensure that ultimately you pass that interview, but not only that you pass the interview, but that you are prepared to go out there and be exemplary managers. So we'll begin. Anybody wants to tell me what they know of management? Your definition in your own words. What is management? You want to tell me?
Simple would be what? The ability to govern over the resources of something or control over how something should go according to how you decide it should.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
For me, management means, so when you manage something, you control it, you analyze it, you forecast, you need to know all about the components and elements of whatever you're managing. So you need to have it under control, you need to analyze it, what can work better, what could be implemented. That's
Absolutely. All right ahead. Yes, please.
Basically dealing with people and the management is the process of dealing with people and managing a business or...
Okay. All right, I want you to do this over for me. Remember, we're family here, so I'm going to correct you, but it's okay, because when you go on to your exit interview and in other places, then you won't be able to approach it in the right way. Now, if you're given a definition, never use back the word. So if we ask for the definition of management, you should then say managing. That's okay, guys? Yes. So you want to use a synonym for managing. So just what you're saying is correct, but just use a synonym instead of saying management is managing something. What is managing something?
Management is dealing with people.
Yes. You're perfect. Listen. Do not be frightened or put off by the fact that I corrected you. because we all need correction, right? And I want you to know that, first of all, I am always in a learning game. So every day I try to learn from just about anybody, all right? But this is fundamental. For all your courses, if you're defining something, never use back the same word because it doesn't help. So it's almost like saying, somebody asks you, what's a dog? And I say, okay, a dog is a dog. Right? So you don't want to say management is managing. All right, but I think you get the answer. So you could use a synonym like you could speak about directing or controlling or organizing, as Rolinda did. All right? Leading and influencing, right?
Carry out necessary activities to accomplish the required goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we hear words like leading, directing, controlling. We hear about people a lot. Everybody seems to be saying people excepting one person who used the word which encompasses people, but he didn't say people alone, which is excellent. Because when you're called to manage something, it's not only human resource that you manage. What else could you possibly be managing?
Systems, procedures,
yes.
Tools.
What other resources?
Tools like
What's a big
machines.
resource? Another one that starts with M. Money. Yes. Yes, you're required to manage money. Yes. And then that last part of it, which all of you had in your definitions as well, is a whole matter of goals. Why do you want to manage something? Because you want a specific end. You want to achieve a specific goal, correct? Okay, so then it tells me that there is a possibility that if you don't manage it, if you don't control it, if you don't direct it, if you don't lead it, then it could go out of whack and you could achieve something other than what you want to achieve. Is that fair to assume? It is fair to assume. So when we manage people, it's not because we believe that they are the most dumb persons ever, but they could be doing to the best of their ability, but just not working towards the goal which we have specified. So you've gotten it all right. Truth is, you know what management is all about. So the definition here by the Business Dictionary, the organization and coordination of activities of a business in order to achieve defined objectives. Notice, you don't have to say it verbatim, but you had it. The only thing is you wanted to change the word manage to maybe coordinating or organizing, and you notice that it speaks about activities. So, but who does these activities? It's people, right? And machines and money to achieve the defined objectives or goals. So what does management entail? And I want you to know that whether you're doing human resource, management, accounting, finance, or marketing, you have to do some aspect of management. And if you're going to be a manager, then truth be told, you will do all of these. In your course, if you're focusing on management, haven't you had to do accounting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Human resource management?
Yes.
Marketing?
Yes.
Right? And coaching. Why is coaching important? It goes right back to the fact that we want people to act in a certain way in order to achieve a certain goal. But they won't just do it naturally.
Is coaching and training the same thing?
No, it's not. It's not. Coaching and training are two different things. You can train an entire set of people, but when you do a coaching session, it's more personalized. It's more one-on-one. So I'm taking you under my arms. No, you can't hold under my arms. But it's more akin with mentorship. So it's more personalized, you know, and because you have seen persons at a certain stage, but you know their potential. You know what they can achieve. You know how they can contribute to the goal of the organization. So you guide them and mold them into what you need them to become in order to achieve the goals. You'll have to do performance evaluations. Even if HR is not your major. How many people like to do that? Performance evaluations. No? Well, guess what? You have to do it. If you're going to be a manager any at all, if you're even going to be a line manager as a supervisor, okay, I want to hear now, and this is not only if you're in management, because once you've done business administration, you should know this. What are the 3 levels of management?
Yeah, how about
If I beat you, what's the top one called?
You have
Starts with S. Strategic. Strategic management.
Yes, so strategic level.
What's the middle one called? It starts with T. Tactical, yes.
Technical.
Tactical too, yes. What's the third one called? Operational. So you have operational management, you have tactical management, and you have strategic management. Of course, and these are questions that can come on your exit interview, ladies and gentlemen. And as learned people, you should know this. This is basic, all right? You want to be able to know what are the various levels of management. What level of management are you aspiring towards? That's a typical question that could be asked. And so you can't say tactical and then you don't know what so you say, oh, I want to be a tactical manager. Oh, so what does that mean? That means I want to ensure that I'm like a supervisor. No. You haven't gotten it right, because operational would be the supervisors, all right? But whatever level of management you're in, whether it be operational, come back here so I can beat you. Okay, whatever level it is, whether it be operational all the way up to strategic, you must do performance evaluations. And it goes right back to the fact that you want the goals of the organization to be achieved. So to achieve those goals, you have to make sure that person's performance is in keeping with the goals that need to be achieved. All right, so why is my slide going back? It's not showing on the screen, that's why, I'm sorry. All right, so hiring and termination. From hiring of an employee all the way down to termination. Why is hiring important in management?
Because you want to ensure that you get the right persons to fit the right positions that they're applying for.
What is that called? I'm helping you now.
Recruitment?
No, what you just said about. Thank you very much.
What is it?
Personality job fit.
It's in HR, miss.
Yes, yes. But learn it, Rolinda, because what it helps you to do is when you have your interview, instead of what you see, you have to go through all of those sentences when you could just have said organization fit, or personality job fit, or organization job fit. Yes? So you want to, that is it. And when we go further into the whole matter of the exit interviews, I'm trying to intertwine it so that we're not just segmenting it. But what it means is that you should be able to speak the jargon of the course. It prevents you from having to ramble. And it tells the interviewer straight up that this person knows exactly what they're talking about. And I'll give you a little tip. If your interview is very short, it's one of 2 things. Either the interviewers are very impressed with you from the offset, they recognize that, look, you know exactly what you're saying. Or what? There is no hope for you. If the interview is very long, it could be one of 2 reasons as well. It could be that they are so impressed with you that they like you and the interaction is so good that they just want to keep on talking to you. Or it could mean that I'm trying real hard to get this person to pass. And it happens a lot of times. So you're trying to prod them, you're trying to pull them along. And then you have some people who just ramble on and on and on and on and on because they don't have the content. But at the end of the day, they still haven't answered the question. So it's not the length of your answer that matters, it's the quality of your answer. And so the whole matter of using the jargons of the course is very, very important. Okay, so language and content. Before I go into language and content, so management, as I said, really it encompasses just about everything. Everything that is done, financing, because if you are a strategic manager, you are going to be involved in making decisions, financing decisions. What are the top 3 financing decisions? If you want to finance a project, what are your major options? Where are the accountants in the room? Where are the finance people in the room? What are the options? But there's no excuse and everybody should know it. Come, tell me, man, if you want to buy a car,
Loan.
exactly, which is called, it's called a F word.
Financing.
Financing, yes. And it's the same thing with the business. They will go into financing or
Sponsorship.
for a company, not really. Starts with S though.
Sales.
Starts with S and has an H after that.
Shares.
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 Shares. They may offer shares, yes?
In the company.
Yes. Or they can go into the capital of the business. So those are the top 3 financing options that a company has. If the company decides to expand, it is going to have to make some financing decisions. And then it will help, the manager has to do accounting. They may not be integrally involved in it, but they must be able to understand where the figures are brought to you. You can imagine you have an accountant and you don't have a clue what is happening. And the accountant comes and says, oh, we're looking lovely in a boss, look on this. We have a loss of $3 million. Beautiful, man. So if you don't know as a top manager, as a strategic manager, then you will very likely believe that it's okay. So it's important for you to have an understanding of what accounting is all about. The matter of human resource management is critical because managers do not do the work. You get that? Managers do not do the physical work. They get their job done through people. So if the people are not working, then you are not going to achieve the results. So you are going to have to motivate those individuals. You're going to have to make sure that you make decisions in terms of compensation and all of that to make sure that the individuals are happy and comfortable, or else you're going to have a challenge. All right? So management really and truly encompasses everything. Marketing. You must be able to, you're going to be called upon to make decisions as it relates to marketing. Because it doesn't make sense for you to have a product and nobody knows about it.
Yes.
In the very first place, you will have to make sure that the product that you are investing in is a product which there is a what for?
Market for.
Yes.
Demand for.
Demand for.
Yes, I do marketing.
Right, right. So you want to make sure, thank you, Rolinda, that there's a demand for it. You see what I'm trying to get you to do? To use the jargons of the course. Okay? You want to be able to, Rolinda, speak about what's the term for the MS, the various types of markets that are out there.
Segmentation.
Market segmentation. Thank you very much. Market segmentation. So instead of going into the interview and saying, okay, you know, we are going to look to see the different groups of customers that you have out there, and you can have people between ages of 5 to 15, and then you have another. No, you're going to say, we'll do demographic market segmentation.
Behavioral
Or behavioral segmentation. Exactly. Or even geographic. Which means that you're looking on the persons in St. Anne, separate and apart from the persons in Kingston, separate and apart from the persons in Montego Bay. Alright? So essentially, that is what management is all about. One, you are controlling or organizing. What are you controlling or organizing? Resources. What are those resources? Human resource, capital, finance, what else?
Labor.
Labor, yes. Did we said money, right? Yes. Okay. The factors of production. Basically, you're talking about the factors of production. All right. And when you organize or coordinate the factors of production, then you're doing it to what end? To achieve a specified goal. That in and of itself is management. So, how do you prepare for language and content? How do you prepare for the language and content? Interview. The first thing you want to do is make sure, let's break it down. Language and content. So it means that you're going to be judged in relation to your language. Is that fair to assume? Certainly, and as we go through the form, you will see that there's a high mark for language. There's also a high mark for content. So if you're talking the biggest of words, and your grammar is excellent, and you're not speaking about the content area, then you still can't pass. Alright? So, review your content area. You don't have to SWOT it, but what I would encourage persons to do, especially the persons who are the younger ones, you're not very close to the exit interview. That's what I mean, younger in terms of your tenure at NCU. Make sure that you learn your content areas. Do not just think of, okay, let me just hurry up and pass the class. I don't care what I get, I just want to pass so that I can move on. You never leave it behind. You get that, ladies and gentlemen? You never leave it behind. It follows you and it comes back to bite you all the time. It's not just the language and content, but when you go for various job interviews, and sometimes we lose opportunities and we don't know why. It's because people have heard us and they're saying, it's not, one not ready for it at all. And you don't know where you are, and the person hears you, and you go to an interview, and guess what? That person is one of the interviewers. Or that person may be in the firm and said to the interviewer, look here, that one don't bother with her. She don't have no behavior. I saw her at the beach, and if you should see her, she can't represent our company. So always remember, Shakespeare says the world's a stage. Okay? Be conversant with the jargon of the course, and I think I have spent a lot of time on that, explaining to you that you must know the jargon. It saves time, it makes you be more confident, and it shows that you are knowledgeable of the subject area. Get adequate rest. Do not stay up in the night and killing yourself, because the truth is you should be preparing long ahead of that. So get adequate rest so that when you reach to the interview, you're not all tired and flustered and can't remember and all the information swimming around in your head. And they say to you, okay, tell me about market segmentation, and you start to talk about market positioning instead, because everything is all jammed in your head and you really can't remember what you're supposed to see. Research possible questions. Google is a wonderful thing. It has lots of information. Research the possible questions, and guess what? In some instances, it has possible answers as well. Okay? So go through the information. Practice answering your questions. So you're going to speak to somebody, whether it be your spouse, your friend, your classmate, and you share with them. Selfishness is a sin, ladies and gentlemen. So you shouldn't want to pass the interview at the expense of somebody else. I don't care about somebody else. And by helping somebody, you help yourself. So you practice the questions, you answer them, and the person can say, no man, fix this is not right, or fix this one over here. And likewise, you're able to say to them, fix this, do this a little bit differently. And by so doing, you prepare yourself adequately. Select your attire ahead of time. Ladies, I don't know about you, but yes, I can say I know about you. Because a typical woman spends lots of time just selecting their clothes. Do you know that if you select your clothes overnight, When you get up in the morning, it's a breeze to get out of there. Do I have a believer?
Yes.
It's true. The amount of time you take, you say, okay, but maybe this one don't look so right and whatever. And by the time you look, you spend the whole time and then you're so flustered because time is going and you need to run. And as it relates to attire, there are some clothes which look good for different occasions. So make sure that you are professionally attired. We understand what professionally attired means? Yes. Okay. The other thing is, wear something that you're comfortable with. So you don't want something where you have to be trying to pull down constantly because you're sitting there, you don't know how the setting is going to be. So for me, I rather to wear a pair of pants so that no matter how I sit, I am covered. It's just me. But if you know you feel comfortable, by all means, but don't wear a skirt that you're going to have to be pulling and tugging on, so it makes you uncomfortable and unnerve you. The time you should be spending to think about the question you're wondering, can they see, or they can't see, and you're fidgeting and, really. Or you wear something, and I think it's on the next slide. Don't wear a blouse or a dress that is too revealing, low cut, and you're wondering, God, I wonder if they can see. Are you busy? No. Make sure this is not the occasion when you have to look sexy. It really isn't. You need to look professional, and you don't want anything that you have to be tugging at and making sure that it's okay. You want to wear something that you put it on, it stays put, and that's the end of the story. And you can focus on the interview. All right? Plan to arrive at least half an hour ahead of time. I'm checking my watch to make sure I stay within the time frame. Plan to arrive at least half an hour ahead of time. There are lots of eventualities. This afternoon when I was coming, I left St. Anne before 12. I had to stop to get my tires changed because I had my tire burst yesterday on me, so I had to get that changed. But even then, I left Spanish Town Road at about 2 o'clock or before 2. And I was certain that I was okay. Then I hit Dunrobin, and they're doing construction out there, and it was a major challenge. So I had to jump on quickly and in traffic send the presentation to Mr. Laird, call him and say, look here Laird, please set it up for me so that if I reach just on time, I can just run up and start immediately. These things happen. So don't tell yourself it takes half an hour to get to the location and give yourself 45 minutes. No. Give yourself plenty of time. This is one of the occasions when you want to be early. You don't want to be too early that you sit down and get all nervous and you see people coming out and they come out and they say, Lux, it was hard, you see. No. Get there a half an hour or 45 minutes ahead of time so you can sit, relax yourself, and be prepared. Have an adequate breakfast. I didn't say have a good breakfast because what is good for you may not be good for me. I may want to have some dumpling and yam and little curry chicken and a little oats porridge. But for you, if you have that, that will probably be just too heavy for you, and you come and you're ready to fall asleep. So know your body and know what it requires. If all you need is a shake, then have a shake. But what you don't want is to be in the interview and your belly growling and the interviewer's hearing it and you so conscious and you're like, oh gosh. So all of that distracts you from what you're there to do. Okay, so in a sense, what you want to do is reduce your distractions. I did do comfortable clothes already, and breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Take a deep breath. Take several deep breaths. Have confidence in yourself. Once you're prepared and you've prayed to God, you'll make it through. Okay, some possible interview questions. How would you tell a team member that he or she is underperforming? This is now putting into practice the theory which you have learned. So you will not be expected to say, oh, I just call him into the office, or I'll go out in the foyer and I'll say to him, look, you know that you're underperforming and you better pull up your socks or else.
Well, the person wants to.
Exactly.
But they realize that's anything personal.
There you go.
And then they tell them they're underperforming and all they can. Just give them a positive to what they're doing, encourage them and say, you know, maybe we do this. And give them alternative as on to proceed in the future.
Very good. You notice what she did? Two things. She used a sandwich technique. She started off with something good, told them what they're not doing very good, and she ended on a positive note. Secondly, she told them of some ways in which they can improve. Very importantly, it's not good enough to just say, you know, I'm going well enough. And if you know, picks up your socks, you will lose your work. That's not good enough. What you want is that these persons may or may not even know what to do. Remember, you're called a manager. I think one of my slides is missing because there's supposed to be a slide there which speaks to the different functions of management. Controlling, leading, organizing, planning, and all of those, all right? The 7 functions of management. So that's what you're going to be involved in, okay? Another question. Did I skip a slide, Mr. Mayor? Yes, I skipped this slide. Enter the room with confidence. I'm sorry, I'll go back to the interview questions. Wait to be offered a seat. Don't just go in and plop down in a seat. Please, wait to be offered a seat. Breathe again. Listen carefully to the questions. You don't want to answer what you're not asked, okay? Give examples. It helps you to feel comfortable when you give your examples, and it also demonstrates to the individuals that you can apply the knowledge and it's not just about swatting the information. Utilize the jargon of the course. Okay. Now on to the questions. We won't go through all of them, but I'm just showing you some possible questions. How would you describe your leadership style? What are the different leadership styles that we have out there?
Authoritative.
Yes, my friend. Laissez-faire. My friend. You are my friend. Yes.
Democratic.
Yes. Charismatic. All of those. Transformational. Yes. So you don't want to just use adjectives. You want to say, I would describe myself as a charismatic leader. This is why I consider myself to be a charismatic leader. Then you give examples, all right? So by so doing, you're using the jargon of the course, and you're also giving examples.
To answer that question, would it be best to give a situational example?
You could. But importantly, don't just give the example without giving the jargon. You want to say what type of leader you are, all right? What is your view of stress in the workplace? So if you answer and say, boy, stress is a terrible thing, and I will do everything to make sure that stress is not present, you know that you're really out of touch, because you would know that there's eustress or positive stress, and there's distress, which is negative stress. And you know that it is important to have stress because that propels people. Okay? What are some things which you would consider in evaluating a business opportunity? Strategic management is a very critical course. Has a lot of information. It's a capstone project, and it pulls all of the various functional areas together. So you will get information from that. What is opportunity cost? You're not an accountant, but as we said, as a management major, you have responsibility for resources, including money. All right, so you want to be able to understand what is opportunity cost, what are the various levels of management, to be able to, which we spoke about before, to be able to identify and differentiate any three functions of a manager. So whether it be planning, organizing, what we spoke about before, you want to be able to say what they are and then differentiate them, okay? What's the difference between a leader and a manager? Those are possible interview questions. So, the subheadings for language and content. These are your subheadings. Language, content, professionalism, practical experience, and appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody should fail on appearance. You have control over that. Yes? So you go in there properly attired. Gentlemen, the minimum should be attired. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wearing a suit. You hold them over. So you should get full marks for that. And it doesn't only have to do with the clothes you have on. Your shoes must be clean. Yes, your shoes must be clean. All right? Your hygiene, you have to pay attention to hygiene. So you shouldn't go into the interview and smelly, or your whether it be a body odor or your breath or whatever. Make sure your hygiene is up to par, okay? So the areas are language, content, professionalism, practical experience, and of course appearance. Oh, I went back, I'm sorry. So this is and this is the actual form that is used for evaluation, ladies and gentlemen. Under language, language accounts for 30 marks. 30 marks. Use of grammar or syntax, that's a rating scale. Poor is 1, 2 unsatisfactory, 3 average, 4 good, and 5 excellent. Have you been exposed to this since the seminar?
Yeah.
Yes? So do you want me to go through it still or not?
Yes.
Yes?
I want to hear your opinion.
Okay, all right. So use of grammar and syntax. If you have a lot of grammatical errors, then you're going to get low grades on that, right? Clarity of language. What's your vocabulary like? Are you only using words like it and are and as? No. You're not going to use big words that you don't understand, you know. But the language register should be appropriate to your discipline. So if you're a marketer, you should be using the jargon of the course. You should be speaking as somebody who has a bachelor's and not somebody who is just graduating from high school. All right, remember, an interview is all about impressing the interviewer that I am worthy, okay? Persuasiveness of delivery. So there's a difference between being asked, okay, so what are the different ways in which the market can be segmented? Let me think. Okay, so you can segment it in relation to male or female, or you can, oh yes, there is one where you can use Saint Anne or Saint Mary. You get the point, ladies and gentlemen? That's not persuasive. Practice to get out of your vocabulary. Is a filler. Some people say aim, some people say It's a filler. It means that you run out of things to say. So you have it. I don't know what we're talking about the man over there. He has a hat. No, it's a filler. If you're confident and you speak slowly, you can totally eliminate from your language register. You can, it is possible. Just speak slowly and make a conscious effort. All right? Look the interviewer dead in the face. Be confident. Smile. Don't look like Ducky running around. Serious. Because you're trying to persuade them that you know what you're talking about. So if your eyes constantly on the ground, then they know that, look, this person don't really know what they're talking about at all. Believe you me, any interviewer who you will have is human. Okay? So don't be afraid of them. Creativity and richness of language, fitness of language for discipline. So we spoke about the jargon. Use of evaluation and creativity. So the whole matter of using examples, very, very important. So it shows that you don't have only theoretical knowledge, but you can apply that theoretical knowledge to practice. Content. Knowledge and comprehension of key concepts. And never forget, I did an interview, exit interview, years ago with a young lady, and she failed it. And one of the questions had to do with globalization, and she didn't have a clue what was globalization. Is there anybody in here who doesn't know what globalization is? Talk through it.
Globalization is, I think what this seminar today in particular, and even yesterday, highlighted for me, I don't know about anyone else, is that I am unable to project, or that's not the right word I'm looking for. That's the problem right there. I have a problem with articulate, that's not the word. Expressing myself. I have a problem with expressing myself. It's not that we don't have the information. Partly of it, what I've realized is that we have a fear of being wrong.
Yeah.
If I'm right, say hey. We have a fear of being wrong, so we're unsure. We know this information. I know every person in here, we have the right information, but we're afraid of being wrong.
Okay.
And if we're saying the right thing in the right way, so it's getting that confidence. It's not that we haven't studied. I don't know about anybody else, but hey, if it's
and that's why I'm saying, Belinda, it takes practice.
So practice will
It
alleviate
takes
that.
practice. Your language register builds when you speak, when you continually talk about it, when you read the newspaper, you're doing industrial relations. It cannot just be about what is in the book. You need to know what is happening in the news. So you blow an interviewer away if they speak about grievance and you're able to explain what is grievance and say, for example, in the situation at Goodyear Tire Factory or at Medical Associates, whatever is current, make sure that you're current, because that gives you relevant examples. But back to globalization. Globalization, if you think about the word global, when you think about global, yeah, globalization is a whole concept of us being one marketplace now. One little world. Once upon a time, when you were in Jamaica, you didn't have a clue what was happening in the US. Now you are competing not only with persons within your parish, but globally, because jobs are advertised across the world and persons from China can apply for a job in Jamaica. So that's what we talk about when we speak about the global marketplace. We are no longer just confined to any geographical location, but you can stay here and order things from China. I have gotten a little tiny bit hooked on this website called Wish. Anybody knows about it?
Yes.
Yes. And so I'm ordering things all the way from China. Never been to China, but I'm getting all these things from China because we now have a globalized environment. So it no longer is the whole matter of patois, the acceptable thing. That's another thing. Practice to speak standard English because it is the language of trade. It is the language of trade. It doesn't make sense for you to say you're Jamaican so you can talk patois. It's okay to talk patois, but make sure that you can speak the English. Because when you go to an interview, whether it be an exit interview or otherwise, you will be asked, you will be graded. You see the first thing on there? Language. Okay? So you must show that you've done research. The whole matter of reading the newspaper, just listening to the news, practice to listen to the news. Remain current, right? Conciseness and accuracy. So it shouldn't be that you're rambling on and on and on and on and on. Remember what I said about when an interview goes too long? So you're just talking, and you're not getting to the point. Okay, and now I go to my penultimate slide, professionalism. And this speaks the whole matter of ethics. Is this one? Yes. Yes, ethics. You must have an ethics question. So, and they're not going to say to you, would you steal somebody's money from the business? They're not going to say it like that. They're going to give you a scenario to see what you would do if you are an ethical person and you'll be graded on that. They'll also speak about your professionalism. What experience do you have? They'll ask about community service. Remember, community service is not restricted to being in a community group. You can do community service here. So when you're a part of the BASSO Club and they're going out to various areas, just 2 weeks ago, the social work club went to St. Thomas Infirmary. That is the community service. And very often we have to drill and pull it out of persons. And they say, oh yes, I help people with homework in my community. And oh yes, at church, I'm a part of the street feeding committee. That is community service. Again, listen to the question carefully and answer what is asked. Attire and grooming, that is a bonus point right there. You go in with that. Make sure that you look professional. Don't wear anything that has anything showing that is not supposed to be showing. Again, ladies, make sure that you're comfortable so you don't have to be pulling down any skirt every minute and fixing to make sure that nothing is showing. Alright, just make sure you're comfortable. Confidence and your mannerism is involved in that as well. And of course, all of that is marked out of 100. The pass mark is 60. 5 out of that, as I said, is bonus. You go in with your appearance. You don't have to worry about flunking that part. You have total control over that, as with the other things as well. Alright? So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that I have completed the time that I've been allotted. I want to encourage you to make sure that you grasp the material. Learning, as is stated by Robbins and George, is a relatively permanent change in behavior which comes from experience. You're here at NCU, the expectation is that the experiences that you garner here will change your behavior. It doesn't mean that you're going to be all aloft and can't relate to everybody, but it should change. Your language register should change because you have now been exposed to information. You shouldn't be speaking the same way you had spoken before. And if you apply that generally, then when it comes to an interview, whether it be language and content or an external interview, you should have no issues at all. Thank you so very much. I think we have time for a few questions. Any questions?
Any questions? Any comment?
I noticed when you were talking about segmentation,
Yes.
is it the case where I have to come clear and say what segmentation is, or if it nears answering segmentation, like I give examples,
Okay.
would
Right.
that be answering the question?
Right, what you want to do is to be able to speak the jargon of the course. So you want to say, we could do geographic segmentation, for example, looking at the marketplace in St. Anne as against the marketplace in Trelawney, or we could do demographic segmentation, where we would be looking at gender or age group. So that's it. Making sure that you use a jargon and then giving examples. And always maintain eye contact and look confident. Nobody's there to bite you. All right? Yes.
As it relates to being a manager, what are possible ethical questions they will ask you in the interview?
Typically what happens is that they relate it, if you are working, they will relate it to the place that you're working. Say for example, you're working with the tax office. They may say to you, or let me give you a general one first. Your friend has a child who is very ill, terminally ill. And you know that that person is on the redundancy list. You're a very good friend and the person comes to you and says, boy, you know, I got a job offer from ESSO. They're working with Shell now. I got a job offer from ESSO. But I don't even know if I should take it. And you know that the person needs the money because their child is terminally ill. And you also know that they are on the redundancy list. What will you do? Do you tell the person, look here, I'm going to pinch you and tell you this, you know, but don't say it to anybody, you know. You are actually on the redundancy list. I will take that offer from ESSO.
No.
That's a general ethical question. Pulls at your emotions. Yes, or it could be that you are working with ESSO and you have a friend who is working with Total. And they have told you that if you give them certain information from ESSO, they will give you a tidy sum of money. And at this point in time, redundancy is taking place and you're not even sure if you are going to have a job within the next 2 months. What do you do? Do you give them the information to make sure that you have 1 foot in over here and 1 foot in over here so you don't get left any at all?
Maintain ethical stuff.
Right. And the truth is, ethics doesn't come from the head, ethics comes from the heart. Because if you are not an ethical person, it's going to come out in your answer. So you might say, well, maybe what I would do is, and that tells you that you can't get full score for that because you are not confident of what you would do. Okay? Any other questions? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to share the evening with you. I wish you success, not only in the exit interview, but going forward. And again, I want to congratulate the management and the team who have put this seminar together. I think it's a very good idea. I think this is participating just to get the thank you. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Keep on doing what you're doing, prepare yourselves and make sure that at the end of the day, you make yourselves proud and make NCU proud.
Dr. Lyons, on behalf of this year at the BASSO Business Seminar, we would like to explain our sincere appreciation for your time and your effort. To be here with us today to share knowledge and experiences about the essentials of management studies and the tips of how to ace the language and content interview. Again, I'd like to say thank you for your outstanding presentation and your continued support.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate that.